it's James, and I'm back in the shop again, but today's video is going to take place mostly outside. Yesterday I received hardware that will allow me to motorize the gate that comes into our property. It's been hard to deal with over the past year because we have a dog that likes to run the whole property, and when we have people coming over, the gate is hard to open and close. So anyway, I have been doing tons of research on all the different gate opening mechanisms. I've looked at Apollo, I've looked at Mighty Mule, I've looked at LiftMaster. I've looked at everything over the past couple of months. I didn't like the reviews from Mighty Mule. A lot of people said the gates would just open on their own sometimes. LiftMaster had quite a few reviews that said things broke down or wouldn't operate correctly. And all of them were priced pretty much the same. There were, the quotes that I got for just the parts, doing it myself, ran between $2,400 and $3,800. Now my gate is 350 feet away from the house, so I didn't want to run AC power out there, so I needed a solar powered system. And since we're pretty forested, a 10-watt solar panel was not going to be enough with the amount of sun that area gets during the day. So it's going to be a 2 10-watt, so a total of 20 watts for the solar, and a battery backup. So there'll be 2 batteries, so that's when it's really sunny, it should charge, and we should get plenty of cycles of opening and closing. The company I chose is called Ghost Controls out of Florida. They have a lifetime warranty on their motors. Their customer service was excellent. That was another thing about some of the other companies. They say nobody would ever call them back, Apollo and some of the others. The customer service for the sale and answering my questions was really good. And we'll see if I need to call them and how they respond during the install. So what we're going to do is go back to my garage where everything is and do an unboxing and see what they sent me, and I'll try to explain what's going to happen next. Okay, so I'm out here in the garage, and these are the 3 boxes that were delivered yesterday. Now I have 2 gates that open and close. One will have to open a little sooner than the other, and this one has to close a little sooner than this one because of the way they lock. So I should have 2 gate mechanisms. I should have the battery box with 2 batteries, the control mechanisms, 2 remotes come with this, and the pedestal with a keypad to go outside the gate, a programmable keypad that'll let people come in. And then I ordered an extra solar control panel, and extra remotes, and a lock that once the gates close, it would activate a lock that keep them from moving. So let's open these up and see what we have. Okay, we have manuals, installation manuals, parts lists, a little tiny screwdriver, and looks like we have warning signs to put on the gate. So we'll get to that. This looks like the 2 remote operators, control mechanism, or the openers. So I will lay all this out and then photograph it close up when I'm done. Unboxing. I've unboxed the big box, and it looks like it was packaged as a set, so the extras come in the other boxes. But let's take a look. So in the standard, or in the box, that looks like it was a complete kit, is this AC adapter, if you want to run AC to it, 2 remotes, this very, very well built control box with a lid that slides open, and there's room for 2 batteries in there. Already wired for 2 batteries, it looks like. This is the control box that I will be installing and then learn how to program. There's 2 sets of mounting hardware. This is the same as this, I'm sure. I just opened this one up. and then a bunch of manuals and signs, and those are the two actuators, the two openers. So I will get started opening these boxes and see what's in those. It's the mounting pedestal to mount the key box on, with a gate lock and feet of wire. No, I'm sorry. This is the sensor that goes on the inside of the gate that detects when a vehicle approaches to open the gate for exiting. So that's got like 100 feet of cable on it. And the actual keypad that's going on the remote, and two more remote transmitters. So that's what came in this box. I have a feeling this is solar panels. And I don't know what else. Yes. Okay, now this is 100 foot of buried low voltage wire. Now, down by the gate, you'll see there's going to be a lot of trees, so the solar panels are going to be moved quite a bit away from the gate, because that's where the sunny area is. So this wire will carry the power from the solar panels back to the gate. And here's solar panel number 1, and here's solar panel number 2. So all in all, I have a complete system that was very, very well packaged, very easy to identify, nothing was damaged. I hope the install goes as easily as the unboxing did, and we'll see how that goes. I will be taking you down to the gate and showing you what we're going to do in just a moment. So far, I'm very pleased. Oh, by the way, I mentioned in the other earlier video that the systems I was looking at were anywhere between $2,400 up to $3,800. This whole system with a lifetime warranty on the motors, a double gate system with extra keypads and an extra solar panel was under $1,600. So I saved well over $1,000. And it looks like an incredibly good system. So we'll see how it works. So this is the gate that we're going to motorize. The gate has been taken down by a local company. They put new hinges on it, stainless steel ball bearing hinges, and then they powder coated it. And it used to be mounted onto these stucco walls, these columns here that you can see the light on top. But whoever built those badly, and the walls were moving. So we had new steel columns installed. They're 3 feet down. They're 6-inch square columns. There, now you can see. The openers are supposed to mount to those columns. As they were doing that, I had the driveway company come out and cut a slot through the driveway, and I was able to bury a piece of PVC so I could get wire from one side of the driveway to the other. So that's already been prepared. Here's the other one. So my plan is to find a place along this fence line within 100 feet where I get the best sun, and I will run the wire along the fence until I have time to bury it. And then one of my first steps will be to pull a car outside here and see where my keypad is going to have to be. I'm not sure. We made the driveway pretty wide, so that keypad is going to have to be over there, and I'll have to do some measuring and pull a car out and measure how easy it's going to be to get to the keypad. So I will get started. I'll get all my tools down here. I'm going to need to dig some holes to mount the keypad and to mount the post for the solar panels. So it's time to get started. All right, well, it's about 10 o'clock in the morning, and this spot here, if I put the post for the solar here, I will be able to get probably 6 hours of sun during the day, and I'm supposed to have 4. The house is quite a distance away, so like I said, I can't use solar. I can't use AC. So I think I'm going to put the post here, attach the 2 solar panels, and then I will have to trench 6 inches down this wire back to where the control box is going to be, back on the gate. So I'm going to get started. So there's the post for the solar panels, and it's getting later in the day. I had to dig through like decomposing granite to get 2 feet down into that hole, but that'll make it all the stronger. Now I think what I'm going to do is remove that branch, and that will get me probably 4 more hours of sun during the day. So we'll be getting started with that, but I need to put a cross piece on the top of this post so I can mount 2 solar panels side by side, and we'll be back with that. Hi again. Sorry if there's wind noise. It's kind of a windy day. Now, this is one of the solar panels, and it was meant to be, well, there's just 2 sets of clips on the back, brackets that you bolt onto it, and you're supposed to mount it like this so that the angle is correct. But I have 2 of them, and there's no way to get 2 of them easily on here, so I'm going to put a cross piece on and mount 2 of them side by side. So I'll probably speed this film up, but you'll get the idea. you saw me probably in the time lapse, these are 1-inch pipes in the bottom. So all I did was drill a 1-inch hole on either side of this cross piece. And so I'm not going to use the other clips that were provided. What I'll do is stick this in and put a screw in the back to keep it in place. So they fit in just like this. So when I cut these branches off, I'll have sunlight until about 3 o'clock or so. So then what I'll do is join all these wires together and make them waterproof on the back of the post. And then we'll do a trench and bury this all the way to the controller box. And then right about here by this tree, which is about 60 feet from the gate, I'm going to bury a sensor about 1 foot down, and that will detect when there's a vehicle about to exit. And then I'm going to trench over to where the wire is. I hope you can see it by the fence there, and join that trench to the other trench to get it back to the control system. So I'm not going to do a separate trench all the way from here back to the gate, so I'll just combine them and run them together. So I got a bunch more digging to do, but here we go. You might notice I'm using my tractor to haul stuff around and use as a platform. It really looks silly having a snowblower mounted on it right now. It's the end of March and we're in Colorado, and it's a 70-degree day, and I've only used the snowblower once this season, so go figure. But I know as soon as I take it off, we're going to get deluged, so I'm just going to leave it on until probably June. Anyway, back for more in a few minutes. You may wonder why I'm only going 3 inches down. And that's because 4 inches down there's granite. So I'm basically going through 20 years of decomposing pine needles and sticks and twigs. But we just want this line out of the way so it doesn't get mowed or, picked up. So 3 inches down is just fine for me. Well, it's a half an hour later, and I have a trench going that way, and then a trench going up toward where the solar panels are, and the wires will meet there, and then I'll just do a trench for both of them right over to the control box. This is the sensor, by the way, that's going in the ground. It's going in this hole over here, and it has to be at least down a bit. I thought I would take a little break from my digging and get my compass out and just see which way north is exactly and south. So it's saying that south is a little bit in this direction, so I should angle them something like that. But I'm going to leave them loose. The instructions say that there's a blinking light inside the control box that will tell me where it's getting the best power from, so I can move it and go check and move it and go check to adjust them where the sun is hitting them the best. So we'll do that tomorrow. Well, good morning. It's the next day. I didn't bother videoing anymore yesterday, but what I did was complete the trench that goes from over there where the solar panel is along the ground, and then up by that tree there's a sensor in the ground that will open the gate when it's closed when a vehicle approaches. So I combined those two trenches and got that all the way over to where the control box is going to be mounted. I'll come over there and show you that in a moment, but the next step in the process, according to the manual, is to find a level spot to attach the operator, to mark the post where the operator goes, to attach a clamp and hold the mounting hardware to the post, then drill the post, and I'll get to that in a minute, and then mount the clamping, or mount the operator hardware. So let's get to that, and I'll change the camera angle and we'll get started. Oh, by the way, since this is going to be a complete review of the Ghost Control Company, I was thinking last night that I needed to test out tech support. So I had a couple of questions, and so this morning I called, and tech support answered in less than 30 seconds, and I completely got my question answered by a very pleasant young man. So right now, tech support gets an A+. The question was, will the system charge with the solar panel when the system is shut off? And I was told that it'll be in standby mode, and that yes, the system does charge the batteries when the on switch is still in the off position. So let's get started for today. So I'm going to do some handheld camera for a bit. This is the package that comes with one operator. There's a box of operator mounting hardware for each side of the gate. I have a primary and a secondary opener. This is the package for the primary. The bolts that go through the column to hold on this clamp. These are the support arms, all the hardware, clevis pins, bushings, nylon ties, very well packaged, very easy to identify, and good quality parts. This here is a positive stop plate that is supposed to be mounted on the end of the primary gate to stop it from moving anymore, but I have a flange, sorry about that, I have a flange on our gate that stops it when it's closed. So like this. Sorry for all the camera movement. I almost fell down. Sorry for all the camera movement. And I'm sorry if there's wind noise as well. It's kind of a windy day. So anyway, I don't need that positive stop plate, and I won't be using this latch anymore because I have a lock that's going to automatically lock when the gate is closed. We'll get to that later. So what I'm going to do is we're going to mount it along this level line, the bottom part of the gate. So I'm going to find the center of that bar, mark it on the post, clamp the mounting hardware to the post, mark where it needs to be drilled. There's a certain amount of room that has to be between where the mounting plate is and the gate. I'll get to that. It's 4.5 inches, which is very well marked in the manual. So I'm going to set up the camera on a tripod and we can get going. All right, I got my Sharpie out. I'm going to go from the center of that bar and find the center line for that bar on the column. And that appears to be right there. So I'm marking that with a Sharpie. Then I'm going to go back and check it again using the mark. And that's going to be perfectly level. So get a clamp out. We're going to clamp this to the post with the center line on my mark, like this. Now, I have a 3/8 inch drill bit to accommodate these bolts that are going to go through. But I don't have a drill bit that's long enough to go all the way through on the first try. But I do have a foot-long 3/16 bit that after drilling this hole, I'm going to change bits, drill the hole through from this side, and then go back and use this bit and drill from the other side, and I should have a perfectly aligned hole. I checked out a 3/8 inch drill bit long enough to do it, and it was expensive and I didn't feel like buying it. So let me get that and we'll get started. So we have our center line, and I've semi-assembled the mounting clamp. What you put in is the arm, the nylon bushing, and the other arm, and make sure that the second hole lines up with these holes here. And you get a washer and the right bolt that goes through like that. Put a washer on the bottom and put a lock nut on it, the nylon locking nuts. And like I said, I'm just going to snug this up a little bit. That's a little too snug, I guess, huh? So, now I'm going to take a clamp and clamp this on the center of the center line that I drew. And that will let me position where the holes are going to go. So that right there is right in the middle of my center line. But now I have to open the gate because I have to make sure that I have at least 5 inches from here to where the gate is going to be completely open. And that'll determine where I put these pivot arms. So this space here between the gate and the pivot arm has to be at least 5 inches or greater. So right there, I'm at 6 inches, but at the previous position, I'm only at 4 1/4. So I have to go to this position, and basically that'll be, once I drill these holes, I can move the mounting hardware side to side a little bit to get the clearances that I need. So I'm going to go ahead and mark these holes right here and drill. I stopped drilling to film this little part here because I found an annoying little problem. The directions say to drill 4 3/8 of an inch hole for these mounting brackets, and that's what I was doing. And I drilled from the other side and all that, but it turns out that, sorry for all the movement, I'm looking for something. There we go. So that's the second hole I drilled right there. But a 3/8 hole does not work with this bolt that's supposed to go through. I had to take a file, a round file, which I have here. And I have to physically file this larger to get the bolt through. And if you have a round file, or if you have a set of metric drill bits, finding the closest metric drill bit would actually be okay. But I think they need to modify their instructions. This wouldn't even work on a wooden post. You'd have to knock it through with a hammer. So it's going to be a little more work. I'll be back later after I've done all 4 holes and we're ready to mount this up. So after a little bit of struggling, I was able to get all 4 bolts through my column and mounted and tightened and secured. And so the next few steps will be done with the gate open, in the completely open position. And right now I'm going to double check. I don't know if you can notice, sorry for the camera movement, I did slide this all the way over as far as it would go after taking that measurement before. So with the gate fully open, right now I have 5 inches in this position right here. If I was to go to this position, I would have nowhere near enough room. So we're going to lock this in that position by using, using another bolt and another nylon bushing with 2 more washers. And then we're going to hang the operator arm on. So I'm going to mount the camera on the tripod and we get busy. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, this is the primary operator, and the reason you know that is because it has a short length of wire on it, because it's going to be closest to the control box. The other one, for the other side, is over here, and you can see it has a much, well, if I wasn't standing in the shadow, you can see it has a much longer cord, and that is going to go through this PVC pipe that I've already shoved a piece of stiff wire through, so I can hook the wire onto it and pull this flexible smaller wire through. So we'll be doing that in a few minutes. But I just wanted to mention that it's easy to identify which operator is which. So let's get them mounted. So we're going to put a washer through the bolt through the pivot arm and the clamp, and the nylon bushing goes in here somehow. It's a little tough to get it in there. It's pretty tight. It's a pretty tight fit. There we go. So tighten this one up. And now we'll finally tighten the back one. Now it's time to hang the operator, and you use a pin, a clevis pin, and a nylon bushing. And the operator rides on top of that nylon bushing. So let's get that mounted. And it appears there's 2 different sizes of nylon bushings, and I grabbed the wrong one. So the operator is now mounted. And now we have to mount this side onto the frame of the door gate. So I will be marking these holes, drilling them, and mounting this clamp. And then the operator arm will be totally on. Probably fast forward to this. We take the other nylon bushing, the other pin, the other clevis pin, so now that's mounted, and what we will do is get ready to mount the control box and the battery box. And this is just a temporary piece of wood that I have installed between my gate column and the old wall, because this wall is coming out this summer. So this is just keeping the dog in, but it's a good place to mount the battery box and the control box. So all I'm going to do is use some short drywall screws and mount those up there. Now you can see that the battery box has room for 2 batteries, and I thought I ordered 2, but it turns out I only ordered 1. So I had to go back and order another one, and that'll be here less than a week. So anyway, we'll put the first battery in, and it's already wired for the second set of batteries. And so what we can do then, whoops, is close this up like that, and like that, and we don't need to get inside here anymore for now. So we take the battery leads and we run them through the first hole here. I took the nut off and slid it onto the cable to be able to get it through better. And we'll work the battery cable up and hook it up to these leads here, like this. And just tuck those in like that. We'll be running some more wire in here, so I'm not going to take that off right now. And then I'm going to take the wire from the solar panel and I don't know what happens if you cross the wires on a solar panel. I don't know if it's like a battery and it'll short it out or anything. So before I even hooked the solar panel to this wire, I put a piece of tape on so that I couldn't accidentally touch these together. Like I said, I don't know if that's appropriate or not, but I did it. And that goes through this section here. I'm not sure there's a hole in that one though. Let's see. Yeah, there is. So this goes up. Whoops, forgot to put the nut on. This goes up into the left side hole, and we're going to hook it up to, I'll get a close-up of this in a minute, but we're going to hook the positive here and the negative here, and that should start charging the battery, because the panels are in full sunlight right now. So you can see, here's the power right here. This will be the first controller and the second controller, and then there's other spots for hardware to be mounted in this control panel. So I'm just going to hook up the battery leads, the solar panel leads right now. So this goes in the negative. Twist the wires. Make sure none are flaring out anywhere. And then just put this in the negative terminal. And then with the screwdriver they provide, just tighten it down. And now I can take the tape off of this one. Twist the wires. Put it in the positive terminal. Tighten that one down. Like I said, they provide the screwdriver with the kit. So I'm not going to cut these wires yet. My leads are very long from the solar panel. I haven't cut this wire, but until I move this control box when I build my new wall, I'm not going to trim any wires right now. And I don't know if you can see, but I turned it on. So there is power, and I can't really tell if the battery condition light, let's just turn it on and see. There's the battery condition light. And there's a way to tell if it's charging good or not, and I don't know that yet. I'll go back and read the manual. But right now, we should be charging the battery while I do the rest of the work. So, I'll be back. Well, it turns out I was wrong. I hooked up the negative to the middle terminal where there was a minus sign, and that's if you use the AC power. There was a plug in the third one. I went back and reread the instructions. I'm supposed to use the one on the outside for the solar panel. So I'm going to go ahead and make that change right now. I don't know how that affects the battery charging or not, but according to the instructions, it should be on this left terminal if it's for solar. So maybe this battery condition light will turn green in a while, showing that the battery's taken on a better charge. By the way, this over here is the antenna for the receivers. And if by chance this antenna in this position doesn't work, you can take a regular coax TV cable, hook it here, and run it someplace away for better reception, which I think is outstanding. So we'll be testing that shortly. So for now, I'm going to go put the other control arm on the other side. I don't need to film that, except for the fact that I'm going to be pulling the wire through that PVC pipe there and hooking it up on this side. So we'll be back after all that's done. All right, it's a couple hours later, and I have installed both of the operators, and it's now time to wire the system. The one farthest away from this box with the wire running in the PVC under the driveway is the second operator. So we're going to hook that one up here in just a minute. That would be this one. And the wires are still way too long, but I'm not sure I'm going to cut them yet. I've also got a call in to the tech support because wow, that wind is so strong. I don't know if you can even hear me. I have a call in to tech support because the vehicle sensor, I didn't get a wiring diagram on that, so I don't know how to wire that. So I called them and we'll see what they say. So we do the red right there. And next is the black. And then the green. And lastly, the white. And then there's the first operator, and this is the one that will open first and close last. So we'll hook this one up. Sorry about that interruption. The wind actually blew my camera tripod over. So, getting back, I've wired both operators. I still have to wire the gate lock, and I had a wire come out already. I still have to wire the gate lock and the vehicle sensor. So that'll be coming up shortly. I guess it's good that that happened now instead of later. Okay. So what I'm supposed to do now is use the controls on the box to establish the closed position. Now there's buttons to press to do fine-tune adjustments. So I'm going to go adjust these until they're closed. I'm going to start with the secondary and then do the first one. Like I said, I'm establishing where the closed position is, and then I open it with the remote, and when it gets fully opened, it'll beep telling me that it learned what the open and close position was. So let's see how that works. the remote. Okay, I'm going to get a straight edge and make sure that this is parallel with each other. And it looks really good. So I'm going to open it and tell it to learn that position. Okay, well, with everything working, I was beginning to install the gate lock, the automatic lock that locks and unlocks when you open and close the gate. And I almost forgot to turn the video camera on. But I made a change. The Ghost Control sent these kind of screws to mount the latch. And I don't have enough distance inside this channel. It bumps up and this stayed loose. So instead of using that, I'm going to use the leftover bolts and nuts from the positive closed plate that I didn't need. And so I'm going to have to drill a bigger hole. I think these are 5/16. I think this drill bit would do. So let's get going. Well, I'm going to end this install early. The gate beat me. The gate refurbisher, we had to send out and rebuild and new hinges put on and powder coated and whatnot. And he added this central section. It used to be only this wide, but that gave us a little better distance on the driveway. And I don't know what he added in the middle here, but it burned up every drill bit I had. I could not get through it, and I almost broke my arm. So basically, when I get those holes in, I will be mounting that lock half on this side, half on that side, and then run the wire along the bottom of the gate and then up into the control box. And there is a spot just for the lock right there, so I can wire it right to that. Now, before I didn't video it, but this here is the vehicle sensor. The white goes in the spot marked open. The twisted green, black, and unshielded wire goes in the one marked COM, and the red one goes over here in the lock positive. And then when you turn the system back on, the vehicle sensor is all set. So right now, the top light is blinking, which means we're charging. Everything is working fine. And the only thing I didn't show you is that this afternoon, I used a little leftover lumber and built us a keypad that I ordered through the system as well. It was terribly easy to install and very, very easy to program. Just follow the instructions, folks. It's really easy. And I created a master code, and I created about 5 extra codes for the people who will be coming and going. So I'm going to go in and get to a spot where the wind's not blowing, just to do my summary of the company and the materials and the install. And I'll do it where it's a little bit quieter, but just for the record, it's closed and it beeps and then it's open. So I'm very pleased with it, and I'll be doing my summary at the end. Bye for now. Well, it's much calmer in here than it was outside. We had 40-mile-an-hour gusts up today in Colorado. I'm beat up just from standing. So let me tell you about my experience with ghost controls from Florida. As I said in the beginning of the videos, I was looking for a simple system that was backed by quality service and was quality hardware. I was tired of reading about gates that opened by themselves, gates that wouldn't open. A lot of the other manufacturers had reviews that were not particularly good. Ghost controls, I didn't see any reviews, good or bad. But after talking to them and looking at their video, and knowing I could save $1,000, and knowing that their motor and gear mechanism was a limited lifetime warranty, I decided to go with them. So the ordering experience was pleasant. The shipping was very quick. The unboxing was great. The parts looked like quality hardware. The instructions were really good, easy to follow, and although I could be mistaken, the only error I found in the instructions was where it said to mount the operator mechanism to the column. It said to use a 3/8 inch drill bit, and the bolts were bigger than that. So I spent a long time filing the holes bigger on both sides of my column. Now I used a 6-inch square steel column. The most difficult part of the whole install was really kind of silly. It was getting the bolt in one hole and out the other side without, it took a little finesse to find the hole on the other side. And one tip would be for you guys this wouldn't be important if you're using wooden posts, but if you're using a hollow metal post, put the washers on all of your bolts before you stick them into the post, because I inadvertently more than once forgot to put the washer on after finally getting it through the other side, and then had to take it out to put the washer on and go through all that again. So that's tip number 1. So I don't have any other problems with the instructions. Now this afternoon I had to call, I think when I unboxed the system, I threw away some of the instructions for the vehicle sensor. And so I didn't know how to wire the sensor correctly. So I called tech support, and I waited on hold for 5 minutes, and then I guess their system automatically goes to leave a message. So I left a message, and I started a stopwatch. And went back to doing some other stuff, building the keypad and whatnot. And after 40 minutes, I still hadn't gotten a call back. So knowing it was 2 hours ahead of me in Florida, I decided to call them again, and I got through to customer or tech support in less than a minute, and he told me how to wire it. He was very pleasant, and so anyway, maybe the first time I called, they were just too busy and hadn't gotten through their message queue yet.
But I don't think that was a problem. I've waited on hold with just our phone company for much longer than that. The gate closes. I was able to set the automatic close for 40 seconds. And like I said, the vehicle sensor, when you drive up, it actuates the gate and you can drive through and it closes again in 40 seconds. So overall, I'm very pleased. Would I recommend this to anybody? Certainly. Oh, one last thing. The gate is 350 feet from my front door and the remotes work from my front door. So that's the best part of this. The receiver is very good, so I don't have to walk halfway down and press a button to let somebody in. The only thing I would have paid more for was if there was a Wi-Fi connection to the keypad where I could FaceTime, like with the people who drive up. See who like the commercials for front door. You know, you can see it on your phone even if you're not home. And maybe there's another system that will work with Ghost. I'll find out from them. Maybe there's a system I can upgrade to do Wi-Fi and video over my phone when people drive up. They can hit a button and I can see who they are. But overall, I'd give it an A. A plus is hard to get with me, but I'd definitely give this product an A. I would recommend it, and I hope this video helps people do the install. There's not much out there on YouTube that would show you how to do things. So hope this helped, and that's it for now. Leave comments or questions or suggestions. Hit the like button, and please subscribe to my channel. And we'll see you next time.